the last thing we're going to talk about here on the podcast is we had two guys this week declare for the NBA draft. We've got, shocker, Ben Simmons leaving LSU to become eligible. He is now in the process of hiring an agent and declaring for the draft. Sunday night, he said, "I'm making it official." That's what he said in regarding to finding an agent. And also, we found out today, Tuesday, that Kris Dunn, the Providence point guard, is also entering the NBA draft. And Brandon, what does this mean for LSU and Providence?
I think it's a bigger loss for Providence. And here's why. Because of all the things that I have heard about Ben Simmons in the last couple of weeks, last month, is that he was about Ben Simmons. And that he wasn't necessarily team-oriented. Taking nights off. In that big of a game, don't really want to play.
So he's the next LeBron James, literally. Everyone's saying he's the next LeBron James. He's literally the next LeBron James because LeBron will take games off too.
I think that's the problem, is that these guys are looking at these people in the NBA, and they're saying they do it, and look at the money they're making. I can do it. I can make big money. People have also said that a Ben Simmons isn't a guy you build around. He's your number 2, your number 3. Most likely your number 2, but he's not your number 1. He's not the cornerstone of your franchise. He's not the LeBron James. But I think that, they lose him. He's a great talent. He's a great talent when he plays at his fullest. But if he's not playing at his fullest, then why would you want him?
Yeah, and I feel like I want to say that, to me personally, I want to say that, hey, this is a bigger deal to Providence. I really want to. However, when I look at it, Kris Dunn leaving, redshirt junior, okay, he could have had him one more year. However, I look at it, and unless they declare, which I don't think they're going to, if you're Providence, you're still going to have Rodney Bullock, who played his first year for Providence this year as a sophomore. He's most likely going to stay. And then you got Ben Bentel, who is also a sophomore, played his second year with Providence this past year. He's most likely going to be back. So it's not like you're losing all of your scoring. And I mean, Kris Dunn was nice, but you can always recruit that next point guard to take over your team. You can always find out who that next player is to replace it. And it's not like Kris Dunn is a freshman, came for a one and done, and now he's leaving. He's done his time. To me, he's done exactly what the rule should be. 3 years. After junior season, then you can decide if I want to declare or not, because here's the thing with Ben Simmons. And this is what I'm going to now lean it over to Ben is...
Are we coming on another rant from Ricky?
No, this isn't a rant.
Good.
It's his biggest... To me, Ben Simmons' biggest problem. And I said it on the Fast Break podcast. If you've got the number 1 pick, you're going to take Ben Simmons. Because he's just the freak athlete. He's got too much potential to pass up. Would you want to be would you have wanted to be the guy who passed on Kyrie Irving, who passed on LeBron James? Do you want to be the guy that passed on Michael Jordan? Let's look at that one, because there were teams that passed on Michael Jordan, but
there's a lot of times, though, if you take a look at it, I mean, I bet there were teams who were probably like
how many people passed on Kobe?
I was gonna say that, but I was gonna go to football and say, how many teams are so happy that Jamarcus Russell didn't fall to them?
Oh,
you know
exactly,
what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you have to look at stuff like that too. How happy are you when you look back and you go, man, I'm happy I didn't take them because they were the hyped one. I took one that wasn't as hyped. Mine panned out. Theirs didn't. You just don't know, though. You just don't know.
And what I was going to say is that this is what I was getting to, is I was watching the other day, and I will leave a link down to this YouTube video in our description. I was watching a Draft Express video where they were looking at Ben Simmons, and it was looking at his weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses that they mentioned was how he's a reluctant jump shooter, but really it was he runs away from shots. And they had film to where there's one that, and I mean, I picked out the video right now just to look at it. Just one clip I'm going to walk you through here on the podcast. 8.6 seconds in the game, he brings the ball up, and it's just, he doesn't want, like, he gets the ball passed back to him, wide open jumper, and then he passes it off for a contested shot with 2 seconds left. It's like, that to me is Ben Simmons' biggest problem. It's exactly what I said about AJ Hammonds on the Fast Break podcast just this past weekend, was he runs away from shots, and he doesn't want the ball. Ben Simmons, to me, doesn't want the ball in his hands when the game's on the line.
And that's a huge problem.
That's a huge problem. A number one draft pick.
Winners want the ball at the most crucial time. Mm-hmm. They want to take the winning shot and make it.
Number one draft picks, to me, want the ball in their hands at crucial times. And to me, that is Ben Simmons. I mean, you could say all you want about, I know Sean Anderson here at MVP has said, well, he needs to work on his jump shot, and he's not that solid in the post. He's got all this potential, but he's not a tooled player. To me, the biggest weakness for Ben Simmons is he doesn't want the ball in his hands at crucial moments. And you're talking about the leading scorer for LSU this season, the leading rebounder for LSU this season. And guess what? LSU is going to be better without him, and they're going to make the tournament next year. Yeah, now that you get a twofer here on the Primetime Podcast, Ricky makes another bold prediction.
And it's not even Monday.
And it's not even, we're on a Tuesday this time. But no, to me, I feel like Ben Simmons, he's either, right now, he either has the potential to be the next LeBron James or the next Kwame Brown. Obviously, he's not going to be Kwame Brown, let's be honest. But you guys get my point. He's either going to be the best thing since sliced bread or a bust. That's what I feel when it comes to Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think you're right on with that.
And there may be people that are like, Ricky, you're fucking stupid, and that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. But to me, I feel like Ben Simmons has to do a lot up here in the head, work on that maturity before he comes out. And that comes to a greater issue for me, how I think that the one and done rule is stupid. Freshmen should not be declaring for the NBA, and I don't care if you're on the side of, I know Dave Oster's on the side, so if you're on Dave's side of, yeah, but Ricky, they can't pass up all that money. We're talking about kids here. Kids. 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds that, stay in school. I'm not going to force the education discussion because athletes, 90% of them won't even go to class if you go to an LSU. Ben Simmons didn't, that's for sure. But more importantly, you stay in school to hone your craft to make sure when you come out, you're a better tooled player.
Well, how about this? How about we've talked about this before on here, but I'm not even going to talk about the player part. How long does a NBA career last? How long do you go to?
Well, let's say 18 years.
Let's say on average, and
12 years
to your age.
12.
And how old are you?
Well, let's say you come out at 20. You're 32 then.
Okay, you're 32. You have your whole freaking life ahead of you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna go do? Sit on your couch forever? No, you're not. So here's the thing: is that when these kids, when we see them, and in college, when you're looking and you're in the tournament time and they're doing a highlight on some guy and they talk about how, he wants to do criminal justice and he's done this and he's done that. They need a life outside of sports because one day it does come to an end. And you need to be able to know how to do other things.
There's this fancy tool that I just discovered
The internet?
called the internet and Google, and I just Googled average NBA career length. I'll give you more than that. I'll give you apparently what Google says is the average for each one. In football, 3.5. I don't know. This is from 2013, so things may have changed, but 3.5 for football, 5.6 for baseball, 4.8 for basketball, and 5.5 for the NHL. Now, of course, you're going to get the ones like Kobe. There's extremes to this. There's the guys that go into the NBA, stay a year, leave. There are guys that stay for 18 years. But to me, I feel like this is a greater issue. The one and done is stupid. You need to have these kids stay in college, because look at right here. A guy like Kris Dunn, who I have no problems with, going to get drafted top 10 in my mind. It's going to be a solid point guard for whichever team takes him. And here's the one thing I want to use this quote from Kris Dunn. He did say when asked about it, I wanted to come back, get my degree, and made the NCAA tournament. I also felt like I improved my outside shot, even though it still needs work, cut down on my turnovers, and become a better leader. That right there is a guy who's like, you know what, I'm going to come back to college for this year that he just played. He worked on something, and now is going to use that when he goes to the NBA. Ben Simmons needs to do the same thing to me. However, go to the NBA, be the freak athlete, use the first 4 to 5 years of your NBA career and waste it on working on your outside shot when you could have done it in college.
All I can say is Kris Dunn gets it.
Kris Dunn does get it. He gets it really hard. But that's going to do it for the Primetime Podcast. I want to thank you guys for checking us out this day, evening, night, wherever it is, whenever it is that you are checking out this podcast. If you're listening on SoundCloud, go ahead, hit that repost, that like, that follow button. Go hit it all. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, share this podcast to all of your friends and family. We're really trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. We are almost to 900 subs, and we are so close to 1,000. Make sure to check us out on Twitter. I'm at Ricky Widmer. Brandon is at young_swan19. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Lastly, check out mostvaluablepodcast.com for your one-stop shop for everything MVP. I want to thank you guys one more time for checking out the Primetime Podcast today. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.